And we are live, everyone. This is Patrick Lee with Midweek Motivation Live, sitting here with my good friend Cheryl Malcolm from Chicago Title. We're going to get into talking about how business savvy are you and the difference between networking and marketing when we come back right after this. And we are back. Like I said, I'm sitting here with my great friend Cheryl Malcolm from Chicago Title, where the Patrick Lee Group does almost all of their business that we can. We take Chicago Title. Love Chicago Title. They're a Fidelity-owned company.
That's correct.
Correct. Fidelity is like the biggest names in everything in business, right?
They're international, 500 Fortune company. We do things right. We do it best, and we've done it the longest.
There you go. Let's just get that out of the way first. Okay, sure. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I mean, this Fidelity Mutual, it's mutual funds, it's investment, it's insurance, it's real estate, home warranties, title companies. Fidelity is the name. Chicago Title, the brand you work for here. Many of my realtor friends all over the country and in some other countries. I'm doing a transaction with my mother's personal property in Oregon. The title company out there is a Fidelity branded company. Everything that they do, their websites, their marketing, almost identical to yours. So the company, the Fidelity name is out there. The apps all of the people use is realtors. The things that you have to offer, second to none. And they have brought you on years ago. What is your official title?
Okay, well, I'm the Business Development Director for Chicago Title, which labels me as the PR person.
Yes.
And I get to pay all the bills and all the tickets. So, I feel like I'm the money guy, and I'm also the PR guy that reaches out to the community and lets everybody know who we are.
Absolutely. I love that. And you do it very well.
Thank you.
You do it very well. You have helped plan events for me and my team as well here at the Patrick Lee Group. And it's always a pleasure. But you kind of teach some specific things. And that's why the title of the show today is Business Savvy. And I wanted to put a question mark behind that. But I just put, really? Are you really business savvy? A lot of people have been in positions like yours. They've held a position where you are the face or the front man or the front woman, everywhere from a rock and roll band to an insurance agency to a beer brewery, right? And some people have it and some don't.
Well, that's true.
Right. And some people can run their mouth like me, but when you turn that into, is that really business savvy, or are you just talking up a brand? There's an art to it. It is something that has to be learned for sure. And the best way to learn it is to teach it. But a lot of it just comes from experience, right? So you've been in this a few years.
I've been in this, especially marketing, since 1985. And at that point, marketing and advertising kind of went together.
Yes.
And through the years, you kind of find a way to separate those two topics. And then now we're adding networking to that. Mm-hmm. So advertising, marketing, networking, all three different things. But today, networking versus marketing, networking 101 is where we're going to focus.
Yes, I love that. Networking versus marketing. There is a big difference between those two, correct?
That's right.
Networking and marketing are not the same thing.
They're not. I know they're not. And people kind of think that they are.
They do, sure.
And, with us talking a little bit about the real estate business, marketing is a design strategy to produce methods of selling a product, a service, business, by creating a brand recognition through motivated spending cultures. So that's marketing. Networking is the exchange of information with ideas among people publicly, face-to-face, preferably, and usually in an informal setting.
Right.
Both of those combined, we're hoping to relationship build. So you need the networking to move into the marketing to build your relationship with the people that you are selling, your consumer.
Absolutely. I love that. It's not the same thing, but they all go hand in hand.
Correct.
You need all the parts, all of the cogs that go into the machine for you to actually acquire the relationship. And at the end of the day, isn't business really just about relationships?
You don't have a business without relationships.
Right.
And I think people forget how easy it is to go out there and build one relationship that is going to branch out into many. And anybody, anywhere you go that you meet is a potential person that can be a potential consumer. And we sometimes forget that. And it can be as simple as going and paying your water bill. If
Absolutely.
You create a way to have a conversation.
Starting a conversation. In the elevator, I'm on the 18th floor here, and we have a shoe shine guy down in the lobby, Brandon. He's a good friend. He shined some shoes. He shined 2 pairs of shoes for me this week. And it never ceases to amaze me how many lawyers and attorneys, real estate agents, insurance agents, businesses, bankers that we have in this building. And every elevator ride gets turned into a conversation. And number one, of course, we'll say, hey, what floor are you stopping on, right? But then as soon as the door closes, it's like, hey, how are you? What do you do? Unless they're just avoiding you. But by the end of the elevator ride, it's like, hey, here's my card. If you need anything, give me a call.
Yes.
Or let's go out to coffee sometime. I'd love to meet, to hear about what you do in great detail. Everyone you meet is an opportunity to start a relationship, right?
Exactly. And in saying that, we have become a very casual group of people. And I hate to say it, but since post-COVID has created a way for us to be very successful in our own home by networking. But there's still that desperate need to get out in the public and move around and meet people face to face and have that tangible feeling of building a relationship. So
absolutely,
that's where networking replaces any kind of concepts of marketing.
Wow. So what kind of networking events are you? What are some of your favorites?
Well, I kind of have like a big 10 tools to go by to increase your ability to network ethically and correctly so that it brings you the best results. And one of the first thing I do is I create a budget. Okay, I'm going to decide, am I going to do an annual budget for the year on networking, or am I going to do a monthly budget? In my workplace, it's easier for me to do a monthly budget because I have 2 really busy months out of the year that absorb a lot of my networking cost.
Right.
So month to month is easier for me. And during those months, I look for things to spend my money on, like trainings, parties that I want to have or parties I want to attend, personal events that I might have at my house that I might invite a couple of friends that I know will spread the news about me, social events, purchase tickets to different kinds of events, social media coaches I think are fantastic to spend money on, but fundraisers are where I really focus.
You're so good at fundraisers. And I hope y'all are taking notes right now. This is a master class in the difference between networking and marketing and how these work. And I have the banner on the screen now. It says, "Are you really networking?" Because this is what it comes down to, folks.
Well, I think fundraisers are a really great way to capitalize your initiatives by, first of all, if you get involved in volunteer work, then you can find a fundraiser that you're passionate about.
Right.
And they will never turn you away if you want to volunteer. So you're able to move into a volunteer situation where you can be hands-on, learn about what they do, spread the news about what they do, build a sense of obligation between the two of you. So they're helping you, you're helping them. And then you branch out and meet so many people that are involved in that fundraising opportunity and effort. Been one of the most successful ways that I've been able to move around in the community. Then secondly, the thing that I love about fundraisers is it gives you an opportunity to market yourself. be active in asking for a silent auction item to be available for you to put into their program of a gala or a fundraiser. And that will get you some opportunity to be listed as a donor or some kind of potential way to get on their printables. So then you're marketing yourself. So fundraisers are a fabulous way. You are being involved in something you're passionate about. You're giving back to the community, and they understand your commitment, and it creates a sense of obligation. So
Agreed.
Love that. I love fundraisers.
I do too. As a team leader here at a real estate group with eXp Realty, we get called on for sponsorships all the time. So people like yourself and other companies are always calling. And every time I get the call, it goes back to the budget because we have a budget. We're real estate agents, and our budget is based on, of course, how many homes that we're selling, what the market is doing. But then that budget gets set aside. So we have specific budgets. But then we have to weigh some of these opportunities into that budget. Okay, but the bottom line for me most of the time is, do I have the ability to get my logo on a printable?
Absolutely.
Is it going to be on a T-shirt, a poster, a banner hanging over the door? Is it going to be on screen, in front of everyone on, thank you to our sponsors? Is my name going to get out there? Because the before you can get market share, you first have to gain mind share. Right.
Exactly.
So if you're not front of mind, Ricky Bobby said it best. If you're not first, you're last.
Okay,
right.
That's true.
So if you're not gaining mind share by your name, your logo, your brand being out there in front of people, you're easily forgettable.
Absolutely. And, that's one of the things that I really find important when I'm searching for things to be involved in is how I can make our company presented and remembered and memorable. And those key elements are what, brings your company first in mind to the consumer.
Yeah.
Repetitive
absolutely
information like that.
You do. You want to be front of mind when your business, your type of business category comes up. You need everyone to be sharing your name, your business, your company. Have you thought about using so-and-so? They're the only person I use. Networking is one of the best ways to make that happen.
Absolutely.
I love that. Let's jump from networking to marketing. What's this main difference? Tell me more about marketing now.
Well, marketing definitely is a different frame of mind. You have to think about how to make your company first choice. And it can be as simple as getting on social media and posting regularly about the qualities that you love about your company. It can be that simple and that inexpensive. Or you can be elaborate and you can start putting your names on now the very effective billboards that, put your name out there. Magazine articles are really great because you have the opportunity to put your name out there. You have a way to focus and highlight and showcase your employees, make them seem very personable and see what they are like behind the scenes. So those are more pricey.
They are, sure.
Those are, things that I feel like when you're marketing that you have to take into consideration what kind of money you're putting out there, your return on your investment, and if it's something that you need to continue. Many people are very successful just by doing the social media concepts, but other companies do feel like that they have to make a louder presence in the community to be competitive.
Absolutely. And even here in Amarillo, Texas, we have seen the effects of that. Year before last, I was voted the #1 agent on social media in our market through Property Spark online. And I'm not one of the younger agents in town. I'm one of the older agents in town. Even though I've been doing real estate about 9 years, I'm going to be 60 years old this year. So when I just mean I'm just getting started. I'm just seasoned, right? So the people that I was competing against, and I didn't know I was competing against, are so many younger agents. But one of the things I've been telling people for years when it comes to social media is about the third year I got into real estate, I got a video coach that was 26 years old at the time that said, Patrick, Lee, you got to get on social media. You got to do video. You got to put yourself out there. And I'm like, hey, I can talk. I'm not against doing that, but starting this social media presence, this platform, I don't know about that because I still like my privacy. I still like to do my own thing. But he said, if you're not the same thing, if you're not front of mind, you're not in their mind. So you have got to put yourself out. So we see the billboards.
Yes.
Numerous real estate agents, title companies, lenders, mortgage lenders, banks are very good with billboards, and they have the budget for that.
They do.
And a smaller business may not have that kind of a budget.
Exactly.
And you have to start somewhere. And social media is a good place.
It is a good place
to start.
And it is effective. And you don't just have the Facebook and Instagram. You have LinkedIn, you have Twitter, and you have Google Drive. So now you have all of these ways that, you can buy packages that include a social media coach that will design all of those things for you and at a pretty efficient fee.
Absolutely.
And I definitely feel like social media is a tool that we never expected to have.
Right.
And now we have it. It's in everybody's pocket I think every 5 minutes of the day is somebody looks at their phone.
Someone's looking at their phone, aren't they?
So it's definitely repetitive. So cannot cancel out how perfectly wonderful social media is.
Sure.
It's a good way to get started. And then you start seeing the wonderful things that's bringing you. And then, of course, you start building a budget for bigger and louder things. Bigger and louder
things. So you've been doing this quite a while. You started in a department store. It was a big name here. Dunlap's years ago was the high-end, very nice department store. And it's turned into this career.
It has. In fact, whenever I graduated from college, I graduated with a literature degree, but a feature writing background. So I learned how to, put brochures together and advertising, pamphlets and those kinds of things together for different jobs that I started working at when I left the retail business, and became immediately infatuated with real estate. So I started selling real estate in 97, and then it has evolved into the title business and then the event coordinating business. So I feel like maybe I'm not a master of any, but I'd have a real good knowledge of what it means and what it takes to be entertainingly networking and marketing.
I like that.
So
entertainingly networking. That's if someone knows Cheryl, you will know that that's true. Cheryl is a great entertainer. Love that. The life of the party. You always bring energy, such energy when you walk into the room. How do you use that? I'm just throwing you off script there for a minute. How do you use that in your networking and marketing? Is this personality your natural personality, or is this someone that you have created to help you be more effective in the position that you have?
I think it's evolved. And I think, if I really got into real deep aspects of networking, one of the key components of any individual is you have to make yourself memorable.
You do.
You do. You have to walk into the room and you have to be that person in the room that people remember when they leave.
Yes.
And so you need to make yourself, memorable. And I choose to do that by being flashy.
Yeah.
But I have a bubbly personality, and
absolutely.
I'm a half glass, full kind of person.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm really shy. And I think over the years, I had to really put myself out there to break that shyness. And so now I'm that person that really goes into a room and says, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to be with it,
Yep.
And
the best version of me, the person that they expect me to be, and over the top. And this is probably why we get along so well, because most people don't know this about me, but I am an incredible introvert, self-thinker, overthinker, And I have had to start putting myself out there in business. In the business world, I've taken every kind of personality profile test you can imagine.
Me too.
In the supermarket industry years ago, 30 years ago, it started with the Reed test. And I'm like, why do they want? It's like the Scholastic aptitude test you took in school, elementary school. And you would take this test, and they would determine if you're a good candidate for a management position. And then we started using those. And then, of course, Tony Robbins came out with his version of the DISC test. Then there's the Enneagram, there's the ASV, there's all of these different tests. And every time I would take one of the, and I just recently came back from Texas Realtors Leadership, and we did the color charting.
Of course.
And I am the
what color were you?
I was the only blue in the room. We had actually a large number of, if you've ever done the color charting, we had a large number of greens, which was unusual, but the reds and yellows predominant are usually the reds and yellows. And the funny thing is I chose blue because I was identical red and blue and was only one number off on yellow. So I become all things to all people, kind of like Paul said in the Bible, that we might win some. So I have learned in business that I have to become all things to all people. And on the DISC test, as a personality profile, I'm as high off the chart I as you can get, which is interpersonal. But in my inner nature, I'm an introvert, which is nutso.
Because you wouldn't compete.
Because I wouldn't compete. I wouldn't be memorable. I would not be successful if I did not become the person. And it doesn't mean that we're fake.
Not at all. Like I said, I think
this is who we are. It does. We evolve into that person.
You become this individual. And you have to like yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to be confident in yourself. And you said it exactly. And I have that quote in here. You have to be your best person.
Yeah.
So I know that whenever I go anywhere, I don't care if it's in the grocery store on an early Saturday morning, I be the best person that I can be when I step in there. I try to always be polished. And I try to be professional, even as a mom, even as a wife. I try to keep myself in a polished way that I feel good about myself, and I'll always feel good about myself when I leave a room.
Right.
So those are things that you have to remember, because when you start sharing yourself out there with the public, then everybody sees you and everybody remembers you. And if you want them to leave with a good impression of you, then you have to be the best that you can be.
Yeah, absolutely. I call it unforgettable.
Right, of course.
You have to make yourself unforgettable. And it's, people do it in multiple different ways, as we have seen all over town on the choices of billboards that people have put out. But what does someone do to make themselves unforgettable? And we used to have the furniture salesman that wore a white suit with a cowboy hat, and he would always bow at the end of every commercial and say thank you in this big Texas accent. And see, 25 years later, I still remember those commercials from the guy, because he made himself, in my mind.
Well, he branded himself.
He did, as unforgettable.
Yeah, exactly.
So when we start talking about these differences in networking and marketing, are there any other tips, tricks, things that someone can use to help move themselves ahead in their business, in their career, that you have found have been very effective for you? What are some of the things that you would say?
One of the things that whenever I first started building a network for myself professionally, I started with the people that I knew. So what I did, and what I do to this day, is I draw a circle. And I put those people in the middle of that circle that care about me, care about my interest, care about me as a person, care about my success. And I put those people in that circle. And then I find a way to help them help me.
Right.
And so maybe we will have a dinner at my house, and it will be two couples that have something, in common with me and with my husband. Then we find a moment during that dinner to have a conversation about our business. And you would be surprised what you find out about those two people that you didn't know and what they find out about you. And then they leave that dinner and they go, we were talking to the Malcolms the other day, and did you know that she does this? And then your name starts building. On a different note, I put acquaintances and people that I haven't been in contact with for a while outside my circle.
Mhm.
And I want to make sure I'm going to make an effort to somehow casually make acquaintance or contact with those people, let them know what I'm doing. And you will be surprised how many of those people will be so excited that you reached out to them. So they are
Absolutely.
working your network as well. And I find the big circle key to be something that's been very successful for me. I'm in a small town. I live in a
Mhm.
small town, and small towns know everything.
Yes.
But I've had to make an effort to move my business and my name into the bigger city, and those people are connected. And
They
so
are.
it moves that direction. So that big circle method is very, I don't see how that couldn't work for everybody.
I love that. It's kind of like the bullseye on a target. It's a target, and you have your close sphere of influence.
Yes.
And in my line of speaking, most of the time, in my closest sphere is my top five, and I teach that on the show frequently. Who are your top five? The top five people in that little circle, or my bullseye people.
Yes.
Those are my confidants and mentors, and we market to each other and we support each other as almost 100% as much as we can. Very few people make it into that circle, but those people grow that network, and then those people in that next circle, we all have commonalities with
Right.
things in common, and that person can move us around in the next circle, and then we consistently network outward to the other levels of or circles, and then we're constantly trying to bring those people closer. These people reach out to the next circle, and those people get involved and reach out to the next circle and bring everyone back to you.
And I think word of mouth is gospel.
Yeah.
And if you do not understand the power of word of mouth, then you really need to, take a class on Business 101.
Yeah, you do.
So
Absolutely.
that's why one of the most important things about getting out in the public is being the best that you can be, because, man, one stumble sometimes
Can wreck you.
yeah, it can put you back at square one. And I've learned that the hard way too.
Yes, we're getting some great comments on here. Of course, 100%. Fantastic business, savvy experts. Love Cheryl. Everyone loves Cheryl. Thank you, Kathy, Cody, and Gina. They're surprised that I can be all of these different kinds of people at one time. And Gina says, I sometimes default to an alter ego if I'm in a different environment.
And you know what? And I can see that. And I think that works for some people. And I think it all goes down to what works for you and what has been successful for you. And
Right.
if it means that you have to put on a different face whenever you go out there, then put on that face.
Put on that face, be the person they expect you to be, and be the best version of that person that you can imagine being. I love that. I love that. I love that. I used to wear suits when I got into real estate because I had learned growing up, coming from literally, and I've shared this on the show, coming from nothing. We were very, very poor on the Oregon coast where I grew up, and the people in suits scared people that don't have money, because people in a suit control all the money, right?
Yes.
So the bankers, the
For
lawyers, the people. So I got into real estate at 50 years old, wearing suits, finding it much harder to relate to people. And I started going to business casual, which seems to be the norm, and my business increased. And then I continued to follow that trend, and it got more and more casual and more casual. And now we're seeing this trend, or the return of, it's better to look. You need to look good. Was talking at the Derby Days this weekend with some business owners and great friends in my circle, talking about watches and jewelry and the things that you wear. And if you're going to be business casual, your clothes need to be crisp. They need to be clean. Your hair needs to be done. You can't always be casual. If you are looking to grow your brand and your business, you need to look the part as well as act the part.
Well, you're reading my mind, because that is my big five is professional, impression. And I will say that we have become a little more casual in our
Yeah.
society because we feel like that society is accepting that. And of course we have, but when a consumer is looking for a business transaction, they are going to look for their professional.
Yes, they are.
And they are going to be impressed by appearance, by experience, and by knowledge.
Yeah.
And also by comfort. Is this person looking at me with my best interest at heart? And I feel like there are ways that you can bring that impression to somebody by making eye contact, by putting your phone away, by being present, by being where you are. So, those things people definitely take into consideration. Jeans are the new slacks.
Right.
But I do, and I have another little program that I do on Bring the Bling. But,
My wife would
love
contribute that. My wife loves the bling.
Yes, so bring the bling. And I don't mean just bring the bling with the jewelry and the clothes, but I mean bring the bling with your personality. Bring the bling with your intelligence.
Yes.
Make people understand, I do this for a living. I'm the best at it, and I'm going to do the best service for you. And all of that is bling to me.
Absolutely. I love that. Any final tips or thoughts before we end up here?
I think when you're out networking, one of the things I feel like works really great for me is I let people know that I am passionate about what I do. And if you let people know how passionate you are, then they know that you're probably really good at it and that you're going to spend the time needed to make sure that their needs are met. So just go out there and just show your passion for your people, for your workplace, and for your profession. And if people see you in that zone, they know they're in good hands.
That's wonderful. I love it. Cheryl, we could do this forever. It's such a joy.
It's been fun.
Wow, the time has flown, and it's time for us to end. And we could talk about this forever because I'm passionate about it, and so are you. It's always fun when we get together and talk because you always bring so much excitement into the conversation. The comments have been great. I love that. People have been interacting very well.
I would score you 100 on networking.
You're
we
so
work a lot
sweet.
professionally,
Yes.
and you, I think, do all of these things that we talked about today.
I try to bring my bling everywhere I go, and it's trying to bring my bling. I love that. I'm reading some of the comments and getting tickled here, and that's why we love each other, Gina. That's because we're so alike. I love that. Cheryl, it has been a joy to have you here on Midweek Motivation Live. I hope you people have taken notes and you will apply this to your own businesses. There is a difference between networking and marketing, and they're both important because they all bring you back to the main thing, relationships. If we create a relationship, we create a relationship with that person who are going to refer us. They're going to enlarge our network. They're going to market for us. And eventually we all achieve more when we do that. Cheryl, it has been a pleasure. Until I see you again, this has been Patrick Lee with Midweek Motivation Live saying, courage begins at the end of your comfort zone. So go out there and get uncomfortable today. Become the person you want to be. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.